Me, 35-year-old male, and my wife, 35-year-old female, have been together for 5 years now and married for 2 years. Everything was all right until our child was born, a perfect baby girl who is 2.6 years old. Yes, things have changed and that's normal. I accept it as it is and try to enjoy life. I work around 12 hours a day, try to learn and improve myself. After 11 p.m., so that I can be able to help with household chores and spend as much time with them as possible. I'm helping with everything I can: dishes, laundry, food, cleaning. However, I started to lose shape and feel worse and worse every passing day. I started hating my job, even though it provides well for us. Our intimacy life is non-existent. She is very tired and has some hormonal imbalance. I respect that, and I'm not pushing, despite the fact that intimacy is something I need regularly like most human beings. Anyway, this is not the point here. I want to take care of my body, confidence, and all that follows. So I decided to start going to the gym again, 3 times a week for a 1-hour session. I trained a lot in the past, and my wife did as well. So I decided to share my idea with her, which is going to the gym 2 times on working days from 18 o'clock to 19 o'clock, and a 3rd time in the weekend morning around 8 o'clock. On the days I am not at the gym, she will have time for herself alone, going out, training, beauty procedures, anything she wants. Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. We go out all 3 together, or just 2 of us, if we leave the child with her parents. My parents are in another town and spend quality time together, and she got really mad and upset. She told me that she waits for me to return from work to have some relief from the child. And I basically want to take even that from her. Keep in mind that she is also working and looks after the child only when she is sick. When that happens, we split the responsibility. I look after her for 2 days, and she looks after her for 3. So I feel really bad about that now, really upset. I think that I have nothing left for me and my well-being, and she does not want anything to change. Her happiness is important to me, and I'm supportive of everything she wants. But where is mine? Do I want too much? Share your honest opinion. I'm sure I am missing something. She always says that she wants more time together, but when we have it, it is not quality time. She is mainly on the phone, reading mainly negative stuff. I prefer everyone to have their own thing, and the time we share to be more about quality, not quantity. Thanks for the advice. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It's fine to want to have a few hours a week to work out, but it is not fine to unilaterally announce to your wife what the plan for that will be, and then dismiss her totally reasonable concerns. Are you sure she does not want anything to change? Or does she just need a break after you've been gone for 12 hours? Can you work out at lunch? Can you work out at home? Bodyweight exercise does more than you might imagine. In the longer term, are you working towards a new job that you don't hate and doesn't take 12 hours of your days every single day? You could find much more workout time with a shorter work week. Comment 2. It sounds like you and your wife need to sit down and have a conversation about your expectations and needs. It's important to prioritize both your family's well-being and your own personal well-being. Perhaps you could suggest finding a balance where you both have time for yourselves, as well as a quality time together as a family. It's not about taking time away from your wife, but rather finding ways to support each other and taking care of yourselves. Good luck. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. So, let me tell you what's been going on. After our last talk, things got even more heated. My wife started spending more time on her phone, and I mean a lot more. She was always texting someone, and whenever I asked, she'd just say it was her sister or a friend from work. But I had this nagging feeling, It didn't sit right with me. Then one day, I came home early from work. I wanted to surprise her, maybe take her out for dinner, try to patch things up, but the surprise was on me. I found her with a guy from her office, right there in our living room. They were just talking, but the way they jumped when I walked in said it all. My heart sank, but I kept it together. I didn't want to make a scene, especially not with our daughter in the next room. I confronted her later that night. It all came out. She'd been feeling lonely, said I wasn't around enough, and this guy, let's call him Mr. Office, was just there, listening to her, making her laugh. She swore nothing happened beyond texting and a couple of innocent meetups. I didn't know what to believe. I moved to the guest room that night. The next few days were a blur. I was trying to wrap my head around everything while still keeping it together for our daughter. I didn't want her to sense anything was wrong. But then, the plot thickened. Mr. Office's wife contacted me. She'd found the texts, too, and was furious. She wanted to meet, said she had something to show me. We met at a coffee shop, and she slid over his phone. She'd managed to get it from him. There were messages from other women, not just my wife. This guy was a serial cheater. I felt a mix of emotions, anger, relief, betrayal, but I also felt vindicated. I wasn't the bad guy here. I'd been working my tail off for my family, trying to find balance, and this is what was happening behind my back. I took the phone, thanked her, and went straight to a lawyer. I needed to know my options. The lawyer was straight with me and said, if it came to a custody battle, this evidence could help. I didn't want to go down that road, but I needed to protect myself and my daughter. When I got home, I showed my wife the texts. She broke down, said she was sorry, that she'd been stupid and selfish. She begged me not to leave, not to tear our family apart. I was torn. I still loved her, but could I trust her again? We're in counseling now. It's tough, really tough. We're trying to rebuild, but it's like walking on eggshells every day. I've started going to the gym like I wanted, and she's been supportive. She's cut contact with Mr. Office, and she's trying to make amends. It's a slow process, but we're working on it. And then, just when I thought we might be finding some solid ground, my job threw a curveball. They're downsizing, and my position is on the line. The stress of possibly losing my job on top of everything else is almost too much, but I'm hanging in there for my daughter's sake, so that's where we're at. A mess, but a mess we're trying to clean up. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm fighting for my family. And I'm fighting for me too. I've learned that I can't just roll over and take it. I've got to stand up for what's right for me and my daughter. Thanks for reading. Aita for feeling betrayed. After catching my husband dining with another woman. While our intimacy fades, my husband and I have been married for 6 months, and I love him more than ever. He's a great man and will do anything for me. But I can't help but question one thing. Ever since we got married, our intimacy life has been on the decline. We are both still young and have a lot of energy left in us. Before marriage, we were constantly on top of each other, like couldn't keep our hands off each other. And I wouldn't have to do much to turn him on. Just touching him would do the trick, or literally wearing a sexy outfit. We both come from very religious families, so intimacy before marriage wasn't encouraged. I'm starting to think the thrill of it turned him on. And now that we're married and we're supposed to be having intimacy, he doesn't find it as fun. I miss that part of our relationship a lot. I miss having fun and trying new things. I literally have to work so hard just to get him in the mood. It kind of makes me question if he's as attracted to me as he was before. I can tell at times he's making excuses to not have intimacy. I did get pregnant in January. It was planned, but our intimacy life was on the decline prior to that. Now, another excuse he's been using is that he's scared to hurt the baby. Other than that, I haven't changed the way I look. I take great care of myself and of him. I just don't know what it could be. I understand that it may be that he just doesn't want intimacy at the moment, but it literally changed with the flip of a switch from having intimacy every day or every other day to once every 2 weeks. I talked to him about it, and there is literally no explanation from him. He does things that hurt me, like recently I asked him for intimacy, but he said he was too tired, then continued to touch himself instead when I got out of bed. He spends most nights on the couch because he accidentally falls asleep. So I miss that connection as well. I feel really lonely, which is weird because he's right there, but it's a different type of lonely. I don't think he doesn't love me anymore or doesn't want to spend time with me, but there is literally just no touch unless I beg for it or ask for it. I'm starting to crave his touch so much. It makes me feel defeated and unconfident. TMI. But I literally can't even touch myself anymore because I just get upset and want him. When we do have intimacy, I'm the one who constantly initiates it, and sometimes I feel like he just does it because I want to. I miss the feeling of being wanted and feeling sexy. Has anyone ever experienced this? Men, have any of you felt this way after marriage? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. If he is from a religious family, you should look up the Madonna WRE complex. The too long didn't read is basically that he was raised to see intimacy as a morally unclean thing that turns women into dirty girls. Now that you're Sadie married lady, his subconscious might feel guilty about wanting to have intimacy with you, because having dirty intimacy with you degrades your morally pure status as a wife and mother. Comment 2. Yes, there is. It's the baby. He told you so. He likely has no knowledge about safety or that your libido could go up. Educate him and be the one who initiates. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since the last post. So, the other day, I caught him texting someone late at night. He was all hunched over his phone, trying to hide the screen from me. I asked him who it was, and he said it was just a guy from work. But I saw a heart emoji flash before he quickly switched off his phone. It made me feel sick inside. I mean, we promised to be honest with each other, right? I didn't want to think the worst, but it was hard not to. I started remembering all those times he stayed late at work or those weekends he said he had to catch up on a project. I never questioned it because I trusted him. But now, I was doubting everything. I talked to my best friend about it, and she told me I should confront him. But I was scared. What if it was nothing? What if I was just being paranoid? I didn't want to ruin what we had over some stupid misunderstanding. But then, things got worse. He started coming home smelling like perfume. Not mine, some other kind. And he jumped straight into the shower before I could even hug him. It was like he was washing away any evidence. I felt so alone, and like I was living with a stranger. I decided to do something about it. I couldn't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. So I followed him one day after he left for one of his work things. And there he was at a cozy little restaurant, laughing and sharing a meal with a woman I'd never seen before. My heart just dropped. I confronted him that night. I couldn't hold it in anymore. He tried to deny it at first, but I told him I saw them together. And that's when he broke down and told me everything. He said he was feeling pressured, that with the baby on the way, he was scared he wouldn't be a good dad. He said he found comfort talking to someone who didn't have those expectations of him. I was torn, I was angry and hurt, but I also felt sorry for him. We had a long talk and he promised to end it with her. He said he wanted to be there for me and our baby. He even suggested counseling, which we started going to. It's been a few days since then, and things are slowly getting better. He's been more attentive, and we're working on rebuilding that trust. It's not easy, but I can see he's trying. We even had a night where we just cuddled on the couch, and it felt like old times. But I can't shake off the feeling of betrayal. I still love him, but it's like there's this shadow hanging over us now. I'm trying to be hopeful, but it's hard. I guess only time will tell if we can really get past this. Thanks for reading, it means a lot. Aita for suggesting my husband's ex should move back to Nigeria with her daughter. My husband, 32 years old, and I, 26 years old, have twin boys who are 4 years old. He's Nigerian and I'm Ghanaian and Greek. He has an 8-year-old daughter from a previous relationship with a Nigerian woman, 29 years old. Their child complements both their skin tones, dark skin. I treat my husband's child with love, respect, and care. I've always sensed dislike from her mother, although it's never been openly said. I would say she tolerates me. We are thinking of going to Nigeria this November. When he told his ex a few weeks ago, she decided she also wanted to book a trip to Nigeria with her child. I expressed to my husband that I didn't like that because it would seem like he has 2 women and we would obviously be doing things together. He understood where I was coming from, but found it difficult to navigate this topic with his child's mother. Eventually, he spoke to her about it and she was angry. She didn't understand why we couldn't be together as we're all family. She then said that my children aren't full Nigerian anyway, so it doesn't matter. He told me she said that part in their language, and I forced him to tell me because I could tell he was holding back more from their conversation. I wanted to confront her, but he told me not to, as he had already rebuked her. I'm not saying I don't want to spend time with them. We already do that. We celebrate Christmas, Easter, and birthdays together. However, I feel that traveling together is where I draw the line. I'm perfectly fine with bringing their daughter, but not her. However, I'm scared to say that as I don't know how she'll react. Whenever she travels with their child, my husband either pays for his daughter's whole ticket or half, depending on the frequency of their travel. Why does she suddenly want to take a trip when we decide to? I'm struggling to understand. She called me yesterday saying that she gave my husband his first child. I don't have a girl, and my children aren't cultured enough. It was very hurtful the way she said it. My children are growing up in a multicultural home. Obviously, they're young, so we can't teach them every language we know yet. As they grow, we'll be taking trips to Nigeria, Ghana, and Greece to familiarize them with who they are. So for her to say this was shocking, I had no words. We live 30 minutes away from her. While they're children, we'll never consider relocating to a different country. It's in the best interest of the kids to be closer. We don't make major decisions without thinking of his daughter. I never get involved in their parenting disagreements. If I feel my husband is in the wrong, I'll tell him. But I've never openly placed myself in the middle of it. I understand my role, responsibility in their daughter's life, and I've never intentionally crossed boundaries. I'm capable of setting firm boundaries and acting disrespectful just like her. But I care for her daughter, so to do that would make me feel guilty. However, I go crazy for my kids, just like she does for hers. And to know that I treat her child well when she's under my care, and she's so disrespectful about mine, it's hard to bite my tongue. Please tell me if I'm also in the wrong. I want to create a kind space for everyone, especially when kids are involved. I don't ever want his daughter to feel excluded. Now, for a few comments before the update. Well, actually, this post did not have any comments. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for this update. So, the trip to Nigeria was looming over us like a storm cloud, and things just got messier. My husband's ex, let's call her Nia, decided to pull a move that threw us all off balance. She went behind our backs and booked the same flight to Nigeria as us. I found out when I overheard her talking to my husband on the phone, laughing about the coincidence. My blood boiled. It felt like a slap in the face, a challenge to my place in this family dynamic. My husband, bless him, tried to mediate. He suggested separate accommodations and itineraries, but Nia wasn't having any of it. She insisted that since we were all going to be in Nigeria, it would be better for the kids to spend time together. It was clear she was trying to mark her territory, and it was working. The tension was thick as we boarded the plane. I could see the smug look on Nia's face as she settled into her seat, a few rows ahead of us. The flight was long and my mind raced with all the possible outcomes of this trip. I was determined to keep my cool for the sake of the kids, but it was getting harder by the minute. Once we landed, things escalated quickly. Nia had arranged for her family to greet us at the airport, and suddenly, it felt like we were the outsiders. My husband was swept up in the reunion, and I felt a pang of jealousy. It was as if our family unit had been hijacked. I watched as my stepdaughter ran into her mother's arms, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of loss. She was part of our family too, but in that moment, the divide was clear. The trip continued in a similar vein. Nia had a knack for showing up wherever we were, turning family outings into awkward encounters. I felt like I was losing grip on the situation, and my resentment towards her grew. She was everywhere, tainting what was supposed to be a special family trip. Then came the event that changed everything. One evening, as we were having dinner at a local restaurant, Nia announced that she was considering moving back to Nigeria. She wanted her daughter to grow up surrounded by her culture and extended family. My husband was taken aback, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. This would mean seeing his daughter less, a thought that visibly pained him. I was torn. On one hand, I understood the importance of culture and roots, but on the other, the idea of our family being split across continents was unbearable. In a moment of weakness, I suggested that maybe it would be good for his daughter to have that experience. I thought I was being supportive, but I didn't realize the weight of my words. The aftermath was immediate. Nia took my agreement as an endorsement and began making plans. My husband was hurt that I hadn't considered the impact on our family, and I could see the distance it created between us. I had made the wrong choice, but I didn't know it yet. As the trip came to an end, the reality of the situation set in. Nia's decision to move had the potential to change our lives drastically. My stepdaughter was excited about the move, and I could see the joy in her eyes. It was a joy I hadn't been able to give her, and it stung. We returned home with heavy hearts. The trip had been a turning point, and not in the way I had hoped. I was left with a sense of guilt and a fear of what the future held. I had wanted to create a kind space for everyone, but in trying to do so, I had pushed my family further apart. Thanks for hearing me out. If you like this video, you'll probably like these as well too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.